Christmas may have come early for the Detroit Lions. Let's talk about that. And then let's talk about how the Lions still have a path to be a Super Bowl team. I really do think they still have a path. And one of the reasons I was so excited about this, look, we live in West Michigan here, and there are a lot of Bears fans. There are a lot of Packers fans, and it's really annoying. Don't get me wrong. There's still a ton of Lions fans as well. But there are these other fans, and I don't like dealing with them. But one of them, Clint, I'm giving you a shout out, talked about how he still thinks the Detroit Lions are the team to beat in the NFC. And I think sometimes as fans, it's hard for us to see because we've seen everything that has happened to our team. We see how bad it is. We see how many injuries there have been, and it's hard for us to see the silver lining. But he made a really good point and said exactly what I think we hope to hear, which is you still have a path to the playoffs. I mean, I will show a couple of graphics in a minute, but first I want to talk about this early Christmas gift that the Detroit Lions seemingly have had, and that is with David Montgomery. All right, his optimism has prompted the running back to decline surgery on his injured knee. Apparently, he's gone and he has consulted with multiple experts, several experts over the past few days. And the Lions running back avoided needing to undergo surgery on his MCL. All right, Ian Rappaport, he is the one who reported this. That is a very good name. Like, he is not a guy who is full of it. He is a good reporter. All right, he reported this on Thursday. Instead, Montgomery will rehab the injury in the hope that he can return at some point during the postseason if all goes well. I think some of you might remember in the preseason, Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy got hurt. And because he was a first-round draft pick and he was looking good in the preseason, they did a lot of talk over MCL injuries. And there were really two types of MCL injuries. There is the kind of like hairline, like just a little bit of a tear and no big deal. They go in there, they clean it up, and you're back in about 6 weeks. There's another MCL injury where it is an actual tear. You have to have surgery on it. It keeps you out for about 6 to 9 months at minimum. It seems like David Montgomery has avoided the serious one, and he may have even avoided the other one. I did think it was pretty remarkable that he was able to come back and play multiple plays if he did indeed tear his MCL. So if it actually is an MCL sprain or a strain, then there is a chance that he could come back. Look, I've said this before. If you're telling me I get one running back, and it's either David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs, who am I taking? And that's the question for you on this. I always like to ask a question in the first few minutes here. Who is the one running back you would take? Would you take David Montgomery for the playoffs, or would you take Jahmyr Gibbs? Give me your answer right now. Tell me why. And I'm going to tell you it would be Jahmyr Gibbs every single time. And that's because Jahmyr Gibbs has the ability to run in between the tackles, not as well as Montgomery, but he does something Montgomery can't do, which is Montgomery can't bust it out to the outside and run around people. There is a level of explosion that Jahmyr Gibbs, that David Montgomery simply doesn't have. Yes, I understand David Montgomery has a little bit of power that Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't, but they both have phenomenal contact balance. They both are actually pretty good receivers out of the backfield. And I would just say Jahmyr Gibbs, the things that he can do, he does them at a higher level than Montgomery, and the things that Montgomery can do that Gibbs can't. So that's where it is. I will say this, to have them both will really, really help us. But let's talk about how the Detroit Lions also have a chance to continue to win the Super Bowl. Now, you could talk about this. This is something that was sent to me. And this is a list of players who are on IR for each team. So you see down here, you got the Bills, who we just played, and almost beat, by the way, who everybody is talking about is maybe the best team in the NFL right now. You got the Broncos, Packers, and Vikings, right? We just beat the Packers recently, and we play the Vikings soon. A lot of the good teams that you see that are playoff caliber teams are all down in this area. If the playoffs started today, playoffs, right? Like, I mean, LA would be in the playoffs. The Ravens would be in the playoffs. All right, you have to get up here, then you have a couple more teams. The Steelers, the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Texans, they're all in the playoffs, right? The Chargers with 12. Now, beyond that, the only other team that is currently in the playoffs that has more players on IR, and it's by double, are the Detroit Lions. We haven't seen injuries to a team quite like this. The Browns, this is the second year in a row that they've been plagued by injuries. But 22 players on IR, on PUP, or out for each NFL team right now. It is the Detroit Lions current with 22 players on IR. So how in the world do we win? Well, the vast majority of those players that are on IR are on the defensive side of the ball. Look, I want to take you back to last year. I want to take you back to the postseason last year where we beat the Rams in the first round 24-23. Remember Matt Stafford just slinging the ball all around the field, right? Then we play Tampa. We beat them 31-23. Baker Mayfield goes off. And Evans. Puka Nacua for the Rams. Evans for the Bucks. Huge numbers. And then we can't hold on to beat the San Francisco 49ers. We lose 34-31. That defense last year, I would say this injured defense has performed better this year than our fully healthy defense last year. Sure, we had Hutch. Sure, we had Aleem McNeil. Sure, we had Alex Anzalone, who we're going to get back, by the way. All right, but after that, what else did we have? There was no Carlton Davis, and I know he's hurt. There was no Terrion Arnold. Brian Branch was playing the nickel. He wasn't at safety. Kirby Joseph was battling a hip injury. So essentially our defense has flipped from being healthy on the front, but not great, right? I mean, Kaminsky was getting a ton of run. Pascal was getting run. Hutch, McNeil. What else? What else was there? It was spare parts after that. In the linebacker room, it was still Campbell. It was still Anzalone. It was Barnes. But our secondary, remember we were running out Kamani Vidal and whatever else. It was not a good secondary. There was no Terrion Arnold back there. The safeties are better this year. So we still stick to the game plan. Run the ball, control the ball on offense, all right? Pass, yep, if we need to, absolutely. We have the best offensive line in football. They're the ones that are going to be under the gun here, not the defense. The offensive line will have to control the line of scrimmage, run the ball, let our offense do it, use the defense that you have to make the offense that we're playing against one-dimensional. And then win games by scoring 30 or more points and having your defense do everything they can to force turnovers. Blitz, do what you got to do. This defense survived without Hutchinson for many weeks before we looked bad against the Bills. All right, we are still healthier than we were when we had to play a couple of other teams this year. When we had to go against the Bears, we were absolutely beat up, all right? And then we were beat up against the Packers. We still beat them. And the Bills were going up against the buzzsaw that is the MVP in Josh Allen. So, yes, I understand where everybody's coming from. I understand how it's like, how do we do it? And I will admit, at times I've been that person who's like, I don't know how we can do it. But believe it or not, it was a Packers fan who watched us beat the Packers with our very injured defense that said, you're going to control the ball on the run. All right, your offense is going to be dominant, and you're just going to hold up on defense. And you still have a chance to win the Super Bowl, and I agree. I think we do. Dan Campbell says no excuses. We need to win for those who have fallen. We might be getting one of those guys back. Carlton Davis, the news isn't as good. He might come back if we go for a deep run in the playoffs. Maybe, but we'll see what happens. I still think there's a chance. Christmas come early. Hey, thanks for watching. Really appreciate all you guys and gals for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.